Hey, welcome to our live training for today. And we're just getting a couple things up and running here for us. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in here. And want to make sure our audio levels are good. Okay, we are good to go. We got a couple of guests with us today, and we are excited to be able to bring to you our training for today. So as you're watching with us, please let us know in the comments section that you have jumped on and you're tracking with us. Today is this kind of a special training, a special edition, as we are our target audience are kids, and so we've got a couple of kids with us in the home studio here today, and they are excited. Come on over, guys. This is Madison and Malachi. These are our two oldest, and they are journaling aficionados. They are masters at journaling, and so they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna take it over from here, right, guys? No, they're a little nervous today, but they're doing great. This is I think this is the first time we've ever done a training, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see. I'm gonna pull up some pictures here for us, and there's Malachi doing his journaling time, and we're gonna go ahead and have who's gonna talk first here. We're gonna talk about how to journal. We're gonna talk about why journaling is important, and we're gonna kind of give you some examples of how to journal. And so whether you have small kids who can't read or write quite yet, we've got some help for you there. And then especially for our older elementary kids, we'll show you some examples how to journal.
So before we get started, one of the things we've been talking about, we did a training a couple weeks ago. We called it 30 to Thrive, and it's all about having a morning routine and a morning time routine. And when we say morning time routine, we're talking about that time for Bible reading or devotional reading, journaling, and prayer time. So Matt and I, so we've been doing this for a long time. And a few years ago, as the kids started getting older, we said, we really need to get the kids started on a morning time routine. So we did. We made baskets for them. We bought little journals, I think from Hobby Lobby, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And we got Bibles and put them in there, and we did pens. And that's what started the kids' morning time routine. And then over the years, we decided what we liked, what we didn't like, tried different Bibles, tried different, what was working, what wasn't working. And then we decided, I don't know, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. Yeah. Let's take this to the next level. We have adult journals. Let's create a kids journal. So we took the system that we use, Matt and I, every day, and we pared it down. What would that look for kids? And so we created the kids daily journal. So now our kids, all of them, their ages, Malachi, how old are you? 12, Madison? 10, and then we have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. So we have kind of all those different ages, and they all use the same journal, but we're going to show you how it works differently for the older two. We don't have the younger two in here with us right now, but it works a little differently for those two. So we're going to talk to Malachi and Madison a little bit about what their morning time routine looks like, and their entire morning time routine is based around the journal. So we're going to show you what that looks like. So let's start with Madison. So Madison, can you show us first, show us what you put your materials in?
I use this 101 class bag.
Yep. So we have a kids class 101 at our church, and the kids all got bags. So she keeps hers in her bag, so it's ready to go each day for morning time, and it's ready to go on Sunday. So go ahead and show us, what do you have in your bag? Oops, dropped the pen.
I have my class 101 book.
Okay, go ahead and come forward just a little bit so we can pick you up.
So I have my class 101 book. I have my
I'll hold that for you.
journal.
Okay.
And I have my Bible.
Okay. So she's got all of these things, and we're going to hone in on the journal. So Madison, I'm going to give you your journal back. Go ahead and hold that up one more time so people can get kind of a look at it to see. So we have 6 different kids journals, and this is the one Madison is currently using. So Madison, go ahead and open up to one of the pages. Yep. And I'm going to drop in a sample page so you're going to be able to look at it. But this is what it looks like live. So Madison, go ahead and talk us through, what does your morning routine look like? I'm going to pull this back. What does your morning time routine look like? Give us in order what you do and how you use the journal. So what do you do first?
I usually I go and look in my Class 101 book to see what I'm reading today from my Bible, and then I read my Bible, and then I go to my journal, and down here I put what I read, and then I go up here and put what I'm thankful for, I'm sorry for, and I'm praying for, and then I pray.
Very good. Yeah,
Awesome.
That's great. So what she's talking about in the journal, so she does her Bible reading, and then at the bottom, I'm going to drop, in just a minute, I'm going to drop a link in for what it looks like so you can see live time. But there's, this is where it splits between the older kids and the younger kids. And for Madison and Malachi, when they get done reading their Bible, they just write down, there's a spot at the bottom and it says, I learned ... And they just write a simple summary, something that stood out to them, something that was interesting to them, maybe a verse that stood up. Madison's come to me before and said, oh, you've got to see this verse that I read today. And she'll share that with me. So it may just be a really quick thought, and it may not even be something that they learned as much, but just they can write down what they read for that day. And then at the top of that page, as she was saying, there's 3 parts to the prayer. And it's, I'm thankful for, and there's a line. I'm sorry for, and there's a line. And I'm praying for. So that simple system gets them started. First, they're having something that they're grateful for. And then they're thinking through, okay, what was yesterday? What did I do yesterday? What do I need to ask forgiveness for? When they're little, I think Malachi and Madison are good now. They don't have any problems coming up with stuff. But I know when with the little girls, they'll be like, well, Mom, I didn't do anything wrong yesterday. I'm like, I can think of a bunch of things you did wrong. I think we can think of something. So you might have to help them think through that. And then I'm praying for. And it can be as simple as one thing per line, or as the kids get older, they can write several things in there. Maybe they're praying for several things. Madison, what would be an example of something that you are praying for that you would write in your journal?
Someone who's sick, somebody who got hurt.
Yeah,
Something
exactly,
like
yeah. And that's it. So it's their prayer time, their Bible reading, and their journaling. And I think, how long, Madison, how many minutes do you think it takes you to do?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Maybe 10 minutes, Malachi?
Around 10.
About 10 minutes? Okay. Very good. So then Malachi, if you can come over and take, Madison, if you want to take that. Malachi, if you want to show us what you keep yours in. So he keeps his in a bucket. Let's go ahead and see what's in your bucket, Malachi.
And my Bible.
Okay, go ahead and speak up.
And my Bible.
Okay, so your Bible.
Sorry.
I'll take that.
My journal.
Yep.
And then my 101 class book.
Yeah, very good. Let's go ahead and put those back in there. And Malachi, I'll take this so you can step forward towards the mic a little bit. What do you like about the journals?
I like the cover, and I like how you get to write about what you learned in the Bible.
Yeah, very good. What is an example of something, like when you get to the prayer time, what is something that you would think to write for the gratitude section? Like what's something, like when you open your journal each day, what's something that you would write in like that first section?
My family, or the house, or my car.
Yeah, so it's super simple.
Or hamburgers.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And you said how long do you think it takes you to do yours?
10 minutes.
About 10 minutes. And then you said you're using your book for Kids 101 class. What are you currently reading right now in your Bible that you journal about in your journal?
Mark.
And Mark? Okay.
Yeah, Mark chapter 7, verse 1 through 13 today.
Okay.
I did that.
Yeah, that's great. Very good. Yeah, the kids are in class 101 at church. So as a part of that, they have curriculum, and it actually gives them Bible reading right now that they have to do each day. We haven't always had that. We're actually, Matt and I talked about doing a different training and talking about good Bibles and good Bible plans and good devotionals to use, because we've used a lot of different ones over the years. Obviously, when the kids are little, they use much younger, more picture Bibles. So we've kind of graduated over the years to like more complex Bibles. So we'll have to do a training on that. Any other questions for these two?
No, good job.
Good job, guys.
Way to go. Thank you.
You two are free to go if you want. Thank you so much.
As Amanda mentioned, the kids, they do their morning time, and so I just dropped a PDF in there for you for a sample page. So you can go ahead and feel free to click that link and print that off. And so that kind of can give you an idea of what we're talking about. we're going to go ahead and just show you some examples of some of the morning time routine for the kids, what they're doing. And so I'll pull up, there's Malachi again, and he's got his Bible. And then he's our happy, smiley guy. And there's Madison, and she's got her a basket at that time.
Yep.
And she's doing her journaling. And so one of the things, I don't know if we kind of talked about this quite yet. So the learning curve initially for us, definitely, like, our kids, they're not naturally like, hey, we love school and academia and we love to write and journal. So it's definitely a training aspect. And so for parents who are like, man, my kids, this is like cool, but I don't know that my kids would ever do this. So I will tell you, it took quite a bit of time. I can't put a number on it, how many weeks or months or whatever it might have been, but it doesn't come natural. But here's what it does help us for. One of the big selling points for us and a benefit is, if you're like us with your kids waking up in the morning, the very first thing they do is I want to play. I want screen time. If it's a school day, you're trying to rush them out the door, and they may be a little groggy, and they're trying to get dressed and food and get out the door. One of the things this helps us with is it's a keystone habit. And what I mean by that is there's a cue, a behavior, and a payoff. And so the cue is, as soon as they get up, the very first thing, if they say, Mom, Dad, whatever, we always
breakfast.
Right.
I want this.
Yeah, whatever might be. So as a parent, all of a sudden now, whatever your routine is or whatever you're doing, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I gotta deal with this. And so what right away we always say, they say, they get up, we say, hey, did you start your Bible time? And so they know right away to go ahead and grab their book, their Bible, and their basket, or in Madison's case, her bag.
I think the other thing too is that when they first come down, like Madison, every morning when she first comes down, she's not quite awake. She grabs a blanket, she grabs her bag, and she sits on the couch. And
or come give us a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sits on the couch for a couple minutes and wakes up. But it's kind of that really perfect morning time thing, because then they can kind of wake up, kind of get their Bible out, and they know what to do. And it's kind of that they don't have to think about it to get started. They can get what they need. And it's that first morning, like, waking up and like getting started on something, but you don't have to be like totally mentally awake at the moment. You can get started, and then as they get going, they're more awake and kind of into it.
Yeah, so the cue is they wake up, the behavior is they start doing their morning time routine. The payoff is twofold. One is there's a payoff for you as a parent or as a grandparent or as a foster parent or whatever your situation might be, if you're whatever scenario it might be, but the payoff is that you have a little bit of margin and breathing room, so you can keep doing your thing. So they are occupied. It's also, they're not jumping right on a device, jumping on TikTok or YouTube Kids or whatever it might be. And so the format too, and we'll show you a sample once here in a minute. It's a very not simplistic, but a very simple process to go through. So there's not a lot of involvement from you, especially if you have older ones, younger ones. The payoff is you can spend time and interact with them, something that's good and solid to help them grow their faith, and you can interact with them over it. The other benefit and payoff for our kids is it gives them the structure, discipline, routine, a rhythm to go ahead and help them to set them up for success later in life. Our strong belief is that you grow your faith, it'll change your life. That a relationship with God makes all the difference in our life and our stability and eternity, having a salvation. So we're helping to get our kids now, so when they go off to school, if they go off to college, when they get into a career, they have that routine set in place. So Lord willing, the hope is that one day they're going to be not just doing their morning time routine, they're going to actually be growing their faith, praying. And so right now, and the question might be, well, how much are your kids really getting out of this? And I don't want to put Madison on the spot, but do you want to share real quick when Madison came to you the one day and she kind of showed you what she was learning about?
I don't remember what verse it was.
Yeah, but
just that she's done that multiple times where she'll come and be like, Mom, I got to show you this verse. I found this really cool verse, and I can't even remember what the verse was, but whatever it was, it like directly correlated to something we had talked about the day before.
Something we were going through.
I can't even remember. And she was like, it was so perfect.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And so we got a pen out and helped her underline the verse. But that was neat because that like shows me like not every day is like that.
Right. Right.
Some days
Yeah.
it's just, it's just reading it just to read it. But there's going to be those days where they do get something. And I was going to have you share about, like, you may not remember what you had for lunch.
Yeah.
Like,
We shared this a couple weeks ago. I can't tell you what I had for lunch like 3 months ago on a Tuesday afternoon. And unless you're super consistent and really predictable with your meal planning, if you have at home fresh, meal delivery or whatever, I don't remember. But the point is that lunch on Tuesday got me from Tuesday to Wednesday. And so with our kids, and it's one of those things where it takes time. If your child is coming to you and they're like, first time out of the gate, light bulb going off, they're like Einstein or like Sherlock, man, I found some clues and they're so good.
And if they are, great.
Yeah, you've got a prodigy, and hopefully that'll help you with your retirement 401k one day. But the point is that with time, they're starting, and the cool thing is, so they're connecting the dots of how real life is impacted by what they're reading in their morning time. The other aspect too is that the benefit is they're now finding verses that they're becoming their favorite. And so I always talk about it like, if you've ever seen, crazy as it may be, like ice climbers, where they're kind of climbing up the side of a sheer mountain face with those ice picks. That verses of scripture are like that, where we have verses that we take like that pickaxe and drive it into the ice, so it can help us have stability and hang on when things get really slippery, if you will, and difficult. So our kids are finding verses that they like.
And they're even like, right now you're doing the series on Sunday about the 4 different kinds of soil.
Yeah.
And Malachi was like, oh, look, I'm reading about that this week.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I'm learning something on Sunday, because we're talking about it in the kids program downstairs.
Yeah.
I'm learning about this on Sunday, and then, oh, look, I'm reading about it in my Bible. And it's like, oh, okay, that story does exist. And it gives credibility.
Right. And two other thoughts I want to make. One is this. The question might be, and maybe if you're a little bit skeptical, and like how much are kids getting out of this? Here's the deal: our kids don't sit down and say, I'm just feeding off the Word of God and we're like super spiritual. There are going to be things that they don't get and they don't understand. But I'm the same way as an adult, as their dad, as a pastor. I don't always get stuff out of my devotions, every single little nook and cranny. But the idea is that we encourage them, just find one thought. And it takes a little bit of work, but the more that you begin to exercise that muscle of your morning time, the better you'll get at finding, how can I apply this to my life? So it's a principle. We're trying to help our kids to identify, and the Bible isn't just about knowledge, it's about finding something to help me get through my day. The other thought too is, man, I just totally lost it. Oh, the other thought too is, for a parent who says, well, I want to let my kid like discover their own way, like self-discovery. And are you forcing this upon your kids? Absolutely not. Our kids, when they're growing up and working through these things, they have a desire to do this stuff, because you put food on the table, and they're gonna go ahead and start eating that food, whatever it is. You cook food for your kids, and whatever you cook for your kids, that's what they're gonna eat. So if you want your kids to eat well and eat healthy, you're gonna cook good, healthy food for them. If you want your kids to eat junk food, you do junk food. If you want your kids to starve, you just don't do anything for them. And so just imagine spiritually your kids, if you're not providing these resources and tools for your kids, you're spiritually starving your children. And so that's kind of the high stakes game that we're talking about. So putting things before your kids, and here's the deal. This isn't for everybody. If your kids, you'll see some of the journals we have, and you say, I'm going to try this. If your kids don't take to it, no problem. Kids have different learning capacities, learning abilities, and so this may not be for your child. And that's okay. But for kids to go ahead and try it, and our thought is just try it for a week. Try it for 2 weeks. Try it for 3 weeks. Just give it a try, and then see how it takes a little bit of time. Any other thoughts?
Are you gonna come back to the journal? Because I wanted to hit one thing with the journal, like the picture of it. Are you gonna throw that up?
We're gonna. Yep. Okay. We got some. Let's go ahead and we'll jump in here. Some pictures. So that's the philosophy. We want to just lay that as the groundwork, the philosophy foundation for us. So there's Madison. Here are some, and this is great. Easter's coming right up, and so here are some Easter baskets that Amanda put together last year for our kids, and we'll go ahead and go Easter basket by Easter basket. I'm sure there's probably some copyright infringement here somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, those are some the Easter baskets you see. So there's Bibles in there as well. And we'll talk a little bit about Bibles. We're going to save that for another training as far as what Bibles to use for what appropriate age. And then here's a kind of a closer up look so you can see.
So you can see those kids' journals in there.
Yeah, so those are for our younger ones. And then here's some the more boy-oriented.
That blue one is really popular. It's a really popular boy one with the soccer ball.
So here's up close.
Yeah.
These are more geared toward little ones, younger ones, or girls. And then we have some more generic ones. The Power Up is one that a lot of our kiddos like. So here's just some real quick insight. Here's what it looks like. And so you see at the top section it says prayer. And so there's a section to write down what you are grateful for. I think the kids took their journals.
Oh, no, here.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay, just so we can go ahead and follow along. So what I'm thankful for, and all they're writing down is just something that they are grateful for. This is huge. One of the tips that we tell our kids when they're struggling, and I think maybe Amanda mentioned this, is and I even do this sometimes. If I'm really tired and totally at a loss, I'll just look around the room. What am I thankful that I see in the room here?
Yeah.
I tell my kids, especially my son, the same thing. I don't know what I'm thankful for. Well, look around the room. I'm thankful for you, Dad. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. You got it, man. Put me down. Put down my name. Another thing that we encourage, there's the second line item there, I'm sorry for. This is the secret sauce of this whole thing. So I'm sorry for. We want to teach our kids, first of all, a couple different things. We want to teach our kids confession. We want to teach our kids to take personal responsibility. We want to teach our kids how to have right relationships and forgiveness and hit the reset button. And here's a little secret for our crew, many times it's, I'm sorry for how I treated my siblings.
I'm sorry for hitting my sister.
Yeah. But it helps us because as we're training and as we're giving structure and rhythms and routines to our kiddos, this really helps us in that they have a clean slate then with God. So understanding that it's not just about being unkind to a sibling or saying an unkind word, but really it's sinning against God because God loves us and we want to have a right relationship vertically with God. But then it also, you want to have a right relationship with your sibling, and for mom and dad, it impacts us. And so this is huge because if your home life is stressed out and we're not perfect by any means. We have shouting matches and getting angry and slamming doors and smacking, and it's like a WWE at times. And usually it's the girls, really, surprisingly enough. But the idea is this gives you a point of leverage to say, hey, let's go back and let's address some of these issues. This is not to make our kids feel shame. It's not about forcing guilt on them. But here's the deal. A lot of kids, they carry around shame and guilt. And man, this is huge in our society today. How do you handle the guilt? So shame, no good. Shame's bad news. But guilt, that's something that God allows into our lives to go ahead and show us where something's off. Just like if we have pain in our body, we go to a doctor. The doctor says, okay, that's a symptom of a deeper problem. Let's go ahead and address the deeper problem, not just the symptom. So when our kids are depressed or struggling or angry, that's a symptom. That's a fruit of a deeper root issue of something that's going on. So I'm sorry for. Instead of writing confession, kids may not understand that concept of confession, but they get what the whole concept of I'm sorry. So that's probably a whole other training there. We have then the next section is I'm praying for. This is great because it gets them outward focused. And then this is another aspect that we'll just touch on quickly. If you've got young ones, little ones, who can't read or write, Amanda's going to go ahead and talk about this section next.
This is where we were talking about earlier when the kids were in here, and I said the journal can kind of go one of two ways then. If you have younger ones, after they're done reading their Bible, or it may be that you're reading their Bible to them, then they can just draw a picture. When my little ones were little, I would read the story, usually just a picture Bible. I would read the story to them, and then usually I'll give them a picture they'll look at the picture for that day. So like if it's Noah's Ark, there's a picture of Noah's Ark, and they'll do their best to like color a picture of that in the box. And then as they get older, obviously they can still draw a picture, but most of the kids tend to then leave the drawing stage behind. And then my older two, they'll write down what they learned instead of drawing the picture. So that's where the journal's great. It's versatile. It can be for little ones, or it can be for older ones, and it just changes at the bottom there. And then it's also, people ask us for what age. It can be any age as long as they can write their letters, because even if they don't know how to write, what they're thankful for or what they're sorry for, you can do that for them. So it really, once they can write, up until like I'd say probably 7th grade or so, when they start kind of wanting something a little bit older maybe.
Yeah. And some of that stuff too, we've even done where like if one of the kids, instead of us writing in their journal for them, and if that's what you want to do, you use it however you like to, but we'll write down on a notebook piece of paper or a card, and then they can just kind of copy it, just so. And again, it's great because they're learning to write their letters or learning some of those academic principles as well in their morning time. So I think that's the last slide for us for our training today.
I'll put in
so as you're tracking along with us here, the journals that the kids had shown you pictures of, all what we talk about today is actually included in the front of the journal. So there's kind of a little message to the kids about how they can use the journal, and then we go through and very much on their level explain to them how to use the journal. Then there's a section for parents on how the parents can interact with their kids and use the journal. We also have a sample page, so if you want to go ahead and kind of see what that looks like, we have a sample page in the comment section as well that you can kind of check out. And so we have a section for a non-reader experience, what we just explained, and so you can go ahead and see that. Then we also have a section for the reader experience, as you can go ahead and see there. And I think that's it for our instructions. We also have a section for tips for parents in the book as well. And in the tips for parents, we cover things like, where can I find kids' Bibles? And so I'm going to just do this real quick for our training purposes. A couple different places you can find good kids' Bibles. Check your local Christian bookstore, Barnes & Noble. They have a religious section, and they have a really good wide variety of Bibles for kids that are age appropriate. You can check CBD or Christian Book Distributors, or the classic. Always go to Amazon.com. What Bible should I buy? There's all kinds of suggestions in there depending on the age of your child or the reading level. There's various different Bibles that you can go ahead and get that are appropriate. How can I make it fun? That's going to be a whole other training that we can talk about another time just because of time constraints, but there are lots of ways to make it fun. There's a morning time basket that you can create for your kids, and that'll be a separate training because there's a lot that goes into that. There's some parameters for it to set your kids up for success. And then what can I have my kids read? That's another question we sometimes get. There's some great reading guides that are out there. We also have some examples or reading guides in the front of the journal as well to use as a kind of a reference point. So that's kind of the rundown for journals.
I just dropped a bunch of links in the notes below. We have 6 current journals for kids, and I put a link. You can either find those by going to Manny Resources and clicking on journals. I put the link in for that, or you can always find those on Amazon under Matt Manny or Amanda Manny, and I did drop just a couple of the links for the individual ones just if it's easier. So Amazon and Manny Resources are the way to go for those. Those are $14.99, and I don't know if Matt said this, but they are 6-month journals. So the nice thing about that is 2 a year or longer, because I know our kids don't do it every single day, but they'll last a while, which is nice. So you're not going to blow through journals every little bit.
They're also just it might be a little bit hard to see as far as size. So here's a sheet of paper that's 8.5 by 11, and so it's just a little bit shyer. It's about a 10 by 7 kind of size for the book. So that kind of gives you an idea, and it's a pretty thick. That's about an inch or so thick for you there to be able to see the kind of comparison.
But if you have any questions, if your kids have any questions for our kids, or anything we can kind of help, we've been doing this for a little while. We actually, this year was the first year we actually incorporated it into our kids program at church. So as a part of Class 101, each of the kids got a journal, and they have to, as I said earlier, as a part of the class, they have to read the Bible each day. So now they're journaling in their journal. So if you have any questions, if there's anything we can do for you, we'd love to be a help to you.
Yeah. We want to go ahead and just give you 2 thoughts as we wrap up. We are heading into Easter season, and so we love the holidays around here at Man Resources. And so I'm always saying, let's write more for the holidays. And Amanda says, the holidays are only a couple times a year. So here's a quick book for us, and we'll drop a link in the comment section. This is 6 Days to Sunday, and this is an Easter devotional. I'll just read the back for you here, the description. The disciples never expected on Monday that their friend and leader would be executed on Friday. What they never could have imagined is what would happen on Sunday. And the heart behind this is that Monday is 6 days away from Sunday, and that's really where a lot of us find ourselves at. We love the weekend. We love Friday, Saturday. Sunday is kind of our last opportunity before we head into Monday. But Monday, boy, it's really hard to have hope on Monday. And so the thought is, for a lot of us, we really are living a Monday kind of life where we're hoping and just praying we can kind of get through the start of our week so we can kind of move forward with the rest of our week and get to our weekend. But Monday represents everyday life. Friday is the setback we don't see coming, and Sunday is the comeback we desperately need. No matter where you're at in your journey, Monday setbacks are only 6 days from Sunday comebacks. We're coming through the pandemic right now, and there's a lot of setbacks that people are having and struggling with, and wondering, is there a comeback for me? And so this is a very much kind of a historical, taking a journey through the Passion Week leading up to Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday. And so we talk about the significance of the Garden of Gethsemane, the crucifixion on Calvary, and the garden tomb. So it's from one garden to the next. And then we really pull out some life principles, talking about how to deal with grief from the Garden of Gethsemane, dealing with disappointment for all the disciples at the foot of the cross, and then dealing with doubt, even with Thomas after the resurrection happened, wondering, is this really true? And so we address some of those issues. It's a 30-day devotional, so they're brief readings. We start off with some kind of a story dealing with our personal lives or something interesting, and then we tie right into the historical story, and then have some great principles to apply to our lives. This is a great resource for the holiday season coming up for Easter, a great resource to read for devotional readings in the morning to get your day started. And as well, this has been a great resource. We've had folks who are not from a Christian background who have actually purchased this book out of just an interest in understanding the story of the crucifixion better. And so we've actually had some friends that aren't believers, aren't Christians, that have actually picked this up and really enjoyed it. And so it's a great resource as a gift if you want to give away to somebody during the holiday season. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts, anything else that you want to talk about?
Next week.
Next week, coming up, our training, we have how to start a small group. And that's coming up on the Saturday the 2nd. And so one of the things that we've talked about is the power of small group. And really, Amanda had this thought the other day that as we're going through life and as we're seeing people who are making it, not making it, what we found is a big difference for those who make it and those don't is having a group of people that you're tracking with. And so sometimes people say small group, what is that? What's that look like? And so I'll let her jump in here and kind of talk through what that training will go over.
So I wrote in the description for next week that about 6 or 7 years ago, Matt and I kind of we had heard of small groups. We just weren't familiar with what to do and how to start one. And we said, you know what, let's start a small group. We call them growth groups at our church, but it's a small group. We started that about 6 or 7 years ago and have not looked back. Our growth group currently right now meets on Tuesday nights, and we have 4 families. It fluctuates a little bit because we're the pastor's family. Ours is a little bit different in that it's kind of sometimes still growing and changing. But for the most part, it's been pretty much the same people for the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And those are the people that we say we do life with. We've had funerals together. We've went to weddings together. We've had parties together. We've celebrated anniversaries and new jobs. We've also been there when people have lost jobs and lost a baby and all the things that go with life. And there is something about doing life together with people. I'm currently reading, I should have brought it up, but I didn't, Jenny Allen's newest book, and it's all about people and how we have to learn to do life together with people. And it's a great book, and it's just reminding me, I'm so glad we started our group when we did. But if not, this is a really good time to start a small group. We actually, at our church, we just kicked off several groups because we had a spiritual growth campaign. So this is not something, if you say, oh, small groups, aren't they kind of a thing of the past? They're not. They're still growing. There's still a lot of churches doing them. And this is a really good time to get into a small group. So next week, we're going to talk about what does it look like? Where can you have a growth group? What do you do for a growth group? What kind of curriculum do you use? We have a system that we use that's super simple that you can start a group anywhere with anybody. We're going to show you what curriculum to use, how to do it, and how to kind of get started. Yeah. It's going to be good. We're super passionate about groups.
We'll just say this real quick, and then we'll wrap up. I don't think we've got any questions in the comments or anything. Nope.
I've been watching.
The thing, we all know that we need friends, and we all know that we need to check in with our friends, but how to do that and how to have a plan, it's kind of tough. So our goal is, and you can kind of take this is the takeaway for today, we want to take the guilt and the guesswork out of how to do group and how to do life together. And so you can kind of cobble it together on your own and try to figure it out, or we've got a really simple plan, a step-by-step, 4-step process to go through, and tools and resources to put into your hands. And so if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section about anything journaling. And then if you have any questions about our resource for this week, the 6 days to Sunday, just let us know. And you can find this. We'll have a link there on the comment section as well. Hey, thanks so much for tracking with us. Our goal is to help you grow your faith so you can go ahead and change your life. And we'll see you next week as we'll talk about how to start a small group. Thanks so much for watching.